files a lawsuit today against the Biden administration over the administration's efforts to expand who Title IX protects. The Biden administration wants to include the LGBTQ+ community in that protection. Keith Grant has details on the lawsuit and reaction from the other side.
Rachel, Title IX is a landmark law for schools that get federal funding, and now that includes the LGBTQ+ community, which Kobach says is unconstitutional. The change from the Biden administration has been in the works for 2 years. Kobach has threatened to sue the administration over the change for at least a year now.
Most Kansans know the difference between a man and a woman, but Biden's Title IX regulation effectively requires universities to pretend that there are no biological differences between men and women and effectively erases those differences.
Meanwhile, the ACLU argues the lawsuit advances what they call Kobach's extreme agenda.
So that the law persecutes and punishes people rather than protects them. And I think that's really what his lawsuit is about, is saying that there are some folks who are not part of our community who should be excluded, who should be punished and persecuted by the law.
The lawsuit includes 3 other states: Alaska, Utah, and Wyoming.
Keith, thank